Good evening, Isaac's Army. It is another night, and we are here. I'm Big Sean. Of course, with me, as always, is John and Dave. And we are excited about tonight. It's been way too long. We are super pumped to welcome back a good friend, a longtime friend of the show, going way back to the old Occult Apocalypse Show days. Welcome, America's Shaman, the great Shaman. Welcome, Jake Angeli-Chansley, to the broadcast. How you been, man?
Been very good. I'm so glad to be back. Thank you guys for having me.
Absolutely, man.
Yeah, this is an honor, brother. It's been way too long. Uh, what the heck you been up to, dude?
Saving the world, man, and doing so before bedtime. I'm getting up at like 4:30 in the morning now. So, I'm seriously like, I'm going to bed at like 8, 9 o'clock at night, but it's nice, because I have all day to do the right thing.
Yeah,
catch
man.
us up on the last 8 months.
I haven't seen you as active on social media. You've been kind of
I mean, we've been keeping up. We're keeping
I
up.
go to look
but,
for
like,
your account sometimes and it's gone, and then sometimes it's there. What's going on? Tell us.
Well, if you're around too much, then people take you for granted. Um, I think that a lot of the time, at least I've found that people, they listen to what it is that I say, but they don't give any sort of like credence or credit where it's due. I've noticed a lot of the things that I talk about end up being in other people's posts or in, certain headlines, or maybe even coming out of certain high profile people's mouths. And that's fine with me for the most part. I'd rather the ideas get out there, but when people aren't doing the right thing, when they're doing it to just boost themselves and they're not helping people, they're, I think in one form or another, they're more selfish than I have ever been.
Yeah, absolutely. Well said, man. So, from what I understand, we were talking a little bit before we started. You got a lawsuit that you're preparing for. Do you want to kind of walk us through that a little bit? Just kind of give us the outline of it, of what's going on with it, what you plan on doing with it.
Sure. Well, to start, a lot of people think I'm crazy because I say that the government's been coming after me, and the Trump administration in particular. Um, I've been getting harassed for the last several months because I chose to stop working with the Trump administration. I Prior to January 6th, you guys, I was advising the president in his first administration. Um, I kind of have the proof that I was corresponding with the president in that after January 6th, on January 8th of 2021, I received a direct message from Donald Trump at nsa.gov in my Starseed Academy, like Wix account, like for my website. So Donald Trump at nsa.gov went to my website and typed a message and sent it to me. And I didn't open it. I just saw that it was there. I didn't want the FBI. I didn't respond. I didn't want anybody to say, like, have you ever spoken to the president? And I could say no, because I hadn't, I saw the message, but I didn't reply. Then I have the proof that's in the lawsuit, but I've been advising them for a while because, I give good advice. I actually don't really show how smart I actually am. I kind of hold back for the most part. So when Trump got back in office, well, I'm sorry, I digress. When I got a chance to start donating to his campaign, when he started campaigning, you can donate to his campaign and then you can add your own little 2 cents by sending, like, you can send like a message, and it can be a long message. I was doing the same thing prior to January 6th, prior to getting locked up, in 2020. I was advising the president then, believe it or not. And after, when he was running for office, I was advising him running for office. So, like, imagine it like this. I'm sending these messages to this, by sending money to his campaign, I'm also sending long messages. And in these long messages, I'm giving campaign advice, right? And then I start seeing that my campaign advice is being taken. Like, for example, I said, dude, what are you doing going on Fox News? Like, these people suck. You know, all they did was stab you in the back. You need to go on podcasts. I said, if you want to get with the youth, you need to go on podcasts. You need to go on a podcast tour. All the big podcasts, you really need to go on Joe Rogan, you know. And then lo and behold, you guys, seriously, not even a day or two later, he announces like a podcast tour and he's going to be on Rogan, you know. And I'm just like, holy shit, you know, like, wow, cool. They're paying attention. Folks, go ahead.
So that idea came directly from you. That's what you're saying.
He said, I mean, word went around that it was from Barron, but when you understand that the intel agencies communicate through things like, encryption, and through what, you know, we were talking about earlier, plausible deniability before all this, you know, the government loves plausible deniability because then that means that they can do all sorts of stuff and then take no blame. Like Al-Qaeda gave the government plausible deniability in Afghanistan. They could say, oh, you're just fighting the refugee or the revolutionaries in Afghanistan, USSR. You're not fighting the Americans. They have nothing to do with this. It gives them plausible deniability. So yeah, what happened is that they were keeping a very real distance from your little infiltrator, I suppose. And as I was giving them advice, they were taking it and they were taking it and they were taking it over and over and over again. And only when it suited them. And that's something that I noticed, or only when it suited Israel. That was something that I noticed along the way. And like, for example, here's another thing. So imagine I'm sending them biblical verses, right, in some of these messages, okay? And then, lo and behold, many of the biblical verses that I sent them, the most significant ones, the ones that I sent them a lot, ended up in the speech in the Capitol during the inauguration. And, oh yeah, they just decided to do it inside of a dome, a harmonic chamber on the ley lines, you know, randomly out of nowhere for no reason at all. You know, that it wasn't anything like that I was suggesting or anything. You know, that's what's interesting about all of this, is that there was one thing after another. I'll give you another example. I think it was after some sort of an attack, and it might have been October 7th, or no, not October 7th. I think it was the bomb with the Tesla outside of Trump Tower. I think that's what it was. I sent Trump a message through this back channel, through WinRed. It's called WinRed. That's the site. And sent him a message saying, look, what you need to do is tell these, you know, these people, these illegal immigrants, these terrorists, these cartel members, you got 2 weeks before you get in office, Don. I said, Mr. President, you got to say whatever these people need to hear to get the fuck out of the country before you get in office. What do you got to say to make these people believe that they're behind enemy lines every day that you're in office? What do you got to say to these people that are good and came here fleeing all the cartels and fleeing all the bad people to get them to self-deport, so that we don't have to expend all this time, energy, money, so that people don't get hurt, so that we don't have any issues with Americans, you know? I'm telling them all of this advice. You got 2 weeks. Right? What do you got to say to these people to, you know, get them to leave the country willingly? Then, seriously, guys, because I think I sent that at 9 a.m. And then at noon, he goes and does a press conference where he says, you know, Hamas has 2 weeks. And if they don't release the hostages in 2 weeks, all hell is going to break loose in the Middle East. That's all I'm going to say. All hell is going to break loose in the Middle East. They don't release the hostages in 2 weeks. And I was like, whoa, dude. Whoa, bro. Like, and the crazy part is, you guys, like, it's all on my phone, dude. It's all on my phone. So I tried calling T-Mobile.
These messages you sent.
Yeah. And then the thing is, dude, is that you can if I actually got the damn messages from T-Mobile, they wouldn't give them to me. That's why they're a part of the lawsuit. So I'm trying to get these messages that I sent to the president through this website, which I know T-Mobile can give me. They've given me the runaround. But the moment I get these messages, all we have to do is line up my messages that I sent to the president with what he does either that day or the next day or a day or two later. And then you guys can see how seriously he was taking your boy.
Shit.
So, dude, this goes back. I mean, you were obviously on their radar well before this, right?
Yes.
So take us back to the beginning of where you think this whole thing started, of where you became an asset to the government.
2017. actually right around the Q operation, the beginning of the Q operation. And it was because of Michelle Rodriguez, dude, at Honeypot.
When I say asset, I want to correct myself real quick. When I say asset to the government, I mean an unwilling asset. No, would that be?
Well, in some ways, no. At first, it started out as a willing asset. That's what's interesting about all this. Is that they recruited me into their like super soldier program, which is kind of an extension of MK Ultra in one form or another. But I didn't do very well because good luck controlling my mind, right? And
you think what this comes from bloodlines, right? Like you're.
Yeah. I have a shamanic bloodline on both sides of my family.
And I do believe in, people, the government especially, keeping tabs on the bloodlines that are capable of doing, I don't know, I guess higher things than the average body could do. So that's very interesting. I think if that were to ever happen anywhere, it would definitely be in some sort of military situation.
Having a vision of the future, is something.
Well, and that's the thing is that.
Seems like
I had a vision of the future in 2004. I had a vision in the future. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, John.
No, that's what I was saying. No, I was just leading you to that.
How do you think that they were able
I didn't hear you. What did you say?
Oh, I was just saying like
the audio's a little choppy.
Oh, I was just saying seeing things in the future is probably something the government really wants to have a grasp on, of course.
Yeah. Priceless information.
Yeah. Well,
I mean, remote viewing.
Now, this is important, okay? Especially if they have time travel technology and they are controlling the timelines. Okay?
That's
like, when you understand that is what we are dealing with here, you guys. Dude, I know it sounds crazy, but here's the thing.
It doesn't, because I think about that too, man.
Tesla said, you guys, that he discovered time travel tech, that when he turned on his machine for his like gyroscopic vehicle that he created that would ride on the ley lines and use the Tesla towers as like a power source. When he turned on his gyroscopic vehicle that used the Tesla power, dude, he said he saw the past, present, and future all at the same time. Okay, so Tesla invented time travel in the early 1900s. And how it works is that you use an electromagnetic field to create basically like such a large and high frequency double torus around your craft that it takes you outside of space-time in varying degrees. So you're able to see the past and the present either like 10 frames per second or 100 frames per second or 1,000 or 1,000,000, all depending on how high you turn up the frequency and how far in the past or the future you want to go. So when we start factoring that stuff in, you guys, it gets bananas. And so if somebody like me can see the future and I can see a timeline that they don't control,
well, you have to be controlled in that case, because you can't be telling people about the future, right? You can't tell people what could happen. You can't help people prepare. You can't be doing that. That would be a terrible thing for humanity, wouldn't it? And now,
the thing is that I am
from the wellness company.
Worked out.
No. And now a message from the wellness company, John.
Stop with that. This is like every episode now. You're doing this just out of the blue. That's the thing now.
Keep your nanotech, McCullough.
But yeah, keep us get us caught up on everything, like the whole super soldier program, everything, like how you want to say it.
Well, the super
because it's super fucking interesting, dude.
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, I mean, I could go on all day.
Yeah.
But for whatever reason, I got to start with what happened with Michelle. Okay, so I'm writing my book, One Mind at a Time, A Deep State of Illusion, and I'm just about to publish it, just about to self-publish it on Amazon near the end of October in 2017, right? And I see that Michelle Rodriguez is having like this like thing where she's going to be talking to her fans live and shit. And I got a crush on her. I like her vibe. It's more so like there's this documentary called Reality of Truth where she's in this shamanic psychedelic plants and all that stuff. She's into nature. She's, protecting whales. She's worked with kids. I like that. I like it, but I think she's attractive. Anyway, point is, I was listening in and I was commenting on some of the things that she was saying. And then eventually she acknowledged one of my comments, and she said, and the comment was about the movie industry. And I said, the movie industry is all about the money, unfortunately. She says, yes, Jacob-Chansley, it really is all about the money, unfortunately. And then that's when she told me that, or told everybody that Hollywood uses AI to basically break down scripts to see if they will be a profitable script. And that's how they determine what movies are going to be made. That's why all the movies are shit. That's why all of them are the same. So anyway, the moment that happened, though, obviously that perked my ears up. And I was like, oh my gosh, she said my name. And then I started listening and started trying to interact more. And I wanted to get more of that juice. So, the next day or the day after, I commented, I wrote some poetry, like some Shakespearean type shit on her fucking profile, on her Facebook profile, right? And then so I noticed she starts putting out more images, totally unlike her behavior in the past. She starts putting out more images after, I start writing this poetry. And I'm like, oh shit, and I got this vibe in the air, like, you know what? I bet you she actually, she's single. She's bisexual. She's actually more lesbian from what I understand, but she's still bisexual. I was like, I'm gonna go for this. I'm gonna try for this. Why not? So I went all out, bro, all out. And long story short, like after a couple of weeks of this, I think it was like early December or late December, early January, I think. I get a DM request from Michelle Rodriguez. And I am just like fucking mind blown. I'm like, oh my God, it worked. My vibes were right, So I'm talking to her on Facebook. Eventually I get her fucking number, right? I'm like, oh shit, I got this fucking A, and I'm like all excited, And then, and like the thing is, I show my brother, I show my friend, I'm like, holy shit, like, can you guys fucking believe this shit? Look at what, isn't this awesome, And then after about a month of talking with Michelle, it came out that it wasn't fucking Michelle, it was the NSA.
Shit, man.
Yeah, I imagine they do that quite a bit. I imagine that's a tactic.
Yeah, dude, yeah. Well, and the thing is that, and this is important, is that regardless of whether or not Michelle was in on it, which I don't know, I don't care. I think that she was for a number of reasons. I'm not going to get into it, but regardless, the build up to all of that is how the intelligence agency gets its hook in you. Okay. And what the caveat was, as I was talking to Michelle, was that I couldn't tell anybody that I was talking to her. Right. So the intelligence agencies wanted to see if I would open my mouth or if I could keep a secret. Right. Oh, so I kept the secret, and then they started trusting me with more. Right. And then that's when the encrypted messages started. So it was like, okay, yeah, we're the NSA. Yes, we want you to help us with basically as a shamanic practitioner. They know that I interact with the other realms. Right. They know that I know about all this stuff that is basically highly classified. And then they read my book, One Mind at a Time, Deep State of Illusion. And they're like, this guy fucking knows his shit. Now, at least that's what I thought at the time. I came to realize later on, really what it was that they considered me a very, very high value target, either to destroy or to recruit, one or the other. But if they couldn't recruit, then they would destroy.
It's usually how it goes.
So I knew that. They offered, how they told me it was NSA was they offered me to join the Illuminati. And then I was okay, so I get a celebrity fucking talking to me, and now it turns out it's the NSA, and then they offer me to join the Illuminati, and then they say, look up Illuminati backwards on Google. And I said, okay. And boom, it took me to the NSA website. And I know that these people practice inversion, right? That's how all this stuff works, is like inversion, right?
Yep.
So Illuminati backwards inside of Google takes you to the NSA that says the Illuminati is NSA. Okay. And then they have psychotronic weapons, you guys. They have all the data, everything. They have it all. Okay.
Oh, they know what makes us tick. They know what makes us fearful. They know what makes us joyful. Yeah, dude.
Oh, you ain't kidding.
Yeah, it's
For sure.
We all got a digital profile, and it's just going to get even crazier. We have a digital rap sheet where they basically can pick apart anything on us. at this
There it
point. I
is.
mean, it's
That's
just going to
correct.
get more intense, which
Oh,
is
so
wild.
Jake, you mentioned the psychotronic weapons, these are a part of your lawsuit. And I know it's probably a hard topic for you to get into, but did you care to tell this audience, a little bit about those psychotronic weapons and the effect they had on you?
Sure. Well, here's the thing. You were unable to distinguish paranormal activity from psychotronic weapon abuse. Okay. It can mess with your dreams. They can give you, like, they can make it feel like somebody's sticking a needle in the back of your eyeball. They can make it feel like somebody's pulling teeth out of your freaking skull. They can make it feel like somebody's putting a drill in the side of your head. They can give you rash, like a really bad rash. They can make it to where your asshole never stops itching. They can give you an orgasm. They can make it to where the bottom of your foot doesn't stop itching. They can do anything that they want. They can have your fucking muscles just quiver and not stop. They can put ideas and thoughts in your head. They can have you hearing voices and shit. Like, bro, I've suffered through all of it in one form or another.
Damn.
And that makes you wonder, if they're doing that to you, who else are they doing that to? And how many of them have shot up places and made news? I mean, I'll cut right to the fucking chase.
Yes.
I mean, you know what I mean?
Yes. So let's talk about that. Okay. So in that case, what we are talking about is the use of psychotronic weapons, in many cases alongside a traumatized, medicated asset. Okay. In many cases, these children are brought into the foster care system and abused and then put on psychotropic drugs. And then they are kept in the foster care system and they are kept in the group home system. And then eventually when they become adults, they stay on these drugs. Right. And as they progress, they can eventually be activated. If you've ever seen the movie American Ultra, that's a really good example. You can be activated through a certain frequency or a certain code phrase or something like that. And then what can happen is, especially with these people that are on the psychotropic drugs, their neurosynapses is easily hijacked by the psychotronic weapons. And this is where we get into this idea of the CIA and the NSA have the ability to wear almost like VR goggles and like gloves and shit and like hijack these people's bodies, dude. They can literally like walk around in these people's bodies and they won't have any, people won't have any control. So, and they won't remember anything because the psychotronic weaponry can wipe their memory too. And because of the psychotropic drugs, the psychotronic weaponry works really easy on their brains.
Jesus, this is a form of satanic ritual abuse. It almost sounds like.
It is. Well, and then there's also like the sex kittens, and then there's the super soldiers. So like the sex kittens, in many cases, but also it can be young boys, but they are groomed from an early age to have like a sexual altar in their mind, and that's compartmentalized in their mind that can be activated and turned on.
Kathy O'Brien, for example.
Kathy O'Brien?
Yeah, for example, I mean, she was an MK Ultra. They used her in different sex operations. She said Dick Cheney was like the biggest monster out of all of them.
Oh my God.
Yeah, dude. Her we need to talk to her again, man. She's still around, which is incredible. Yeah, God bless her, man.
Yeah. So
if anybody has a contact, let's bring her
people
on.
like that have seen it. And that's the thing is that that the people that they're given to for like sexual pleasure are monsters. And what's interesting, and this is what's kind of crazy, at least in my research, is a lot of the time people like Kathy O'Brien or people like myself or these sex kittens or even sometimes the sleeper agents, they are in many cases psychically attuned, right? In particular, like the sex kittens or like the super soldiers, they're psychically attuned. They're like high energy people. And that is why these vampiric entities like to feed on them.
Well, you're not the first person that we've talked to that had the government kind of tracking them because they had psychic abilities. I don't know if you ever joined us in any of the spaces with Stephen Kelly, but I know he's a practitioner in remote viewing and stuff like that. And he had a story with the NSA and CIA, and they wanted him for his bloodline, and that's what he told us. So this is a very similar story pattern we're hearing here, which is almost kind of freaking me out a little bit.
Yep.
If anybody that's got that sort of gift, just beware. Hell.
Yeah. Well, I think a lot. I mean,
Yes.
do you
Well,
think a lot of us have it, and it's just there's a way to tap into it that we just have to figure out?
yeah. Well, that was actually something I was talking about in my space earlier today, was this idea that essentially what we're talking about here, you guys, is chemical doorways or like chemical keys to unlock mental doorways or to keep them locked. For example, you can have something like psilocybin or DMT as a key to unlock a doorway and allow you access to another dimension of perception. Or you can have something like fluoride or barium or aluminum or something like that that can actually lock your mind out of those states, that can keep you like fixated in this world and only this world. You know what I'm saying?
Oh,
Yeah, man. I mean, that's probably what they're spraying in those chemtrails to keep us. I swear we were getting bombarded the other day, and I felt off.
Oh,
I mean,
still
I don't know
feel
if it was.
off, man. I'm a mess.
I don't
It's
know
just
if it
a
was just like me mentally
wave of
looking at it,
anxiety going
thinking,
everywhere right now.
but it was bad, dude. It was weird. And the day before, when the the skies were super clear, I felt fucking at peace. Great day, no issues all day. And then the next day, they're spraying the shit out of it. I got anxiety through the roof for no reason.
That was when the
Yeah.
government was shut down. No, the government was shut down for 30 to 40 days and there was no chemtrails. Did you notice
Oh
that?
yeah. Oh yeah, dude.
Clearly,
Everybody did.
yeah.
Everybody
Well, that's
did. Even,
fun
even grandmas and
nighttime-
stuff are noticing that stuff now. It's
The
pretty wild.
nighttime was so cool to see compared to like what we were seeing. Like, holy shit, I could see the whole.
But they're
solar
still
system
doing
right
it. They said they were going to stop. Like DeSantis said, I'm down in Florida. DeSantis said he was putting an end to it. They fucking do it every day.
Yep.
Every day, man.
Yep.
They're out there. It's just, they're poisoning us at every opportunity they get. Whether it's the
For sure. Why do
food,
you
the
think that
plastic,
Why
population.
do you
It's
think
got to
that
be
is?
the population control, right? I mean,
Well,
Oh,
that's
we
part
got
of
to
it.
get to we got to get to 20 million.
That's part of it. What I think it is, you guys, is it's about the consciousness of the planet. It's about keeping enough people locked out
Down.
of the spirit world or locked out
Yeah.
of that frequency, that happiness frequency, because the moment that a certain percentage gets there, then this large illusion that everybody's in based on war and fear and famine,
All the
and chaos,
entropy goes away.
right. And they use that pressure and that entropy strategically to cripple economies or to go after individuals that are a threat to their reign.
Yep. The
know what
chaos
I'm
is their
saying?
best friend.
Absolutely. If people aren't too busy participating in that design chaos, then there's time for people to get together and discuss things, and that's when people start to understand reality. And we got to avoid that at all costs, right?
No, we don't.
Oh, I mean, heavy emphasis on
yeah. But that's the funny thing is that the big lie is that this is normal, and that's, I think, the elephant in the room. I heard a saying is something like, those who do not acknowledge the elephant in the room are cursed to carry its weight.
That makes perfect sense.
yeah.
That surely does. Well, I mean, it makes sense. If you're not going to acknowledge something, then you should be forced to deal with the brunt of everything that it creates.
Yes. And so, I mean, in my opinion, you guys, and this is part of why I'm suing the government, and not just the government, but also the state of Israel, the IMF, the Bank of International Settlements, T-Mobile, Donald Trump, all sorts of entities in this lawsuit. But it's because we have to do something, you guys. We got to do something. Like, we can't just post stuff on social media. We can't just do videos. We can't just be like, we need to stop this. We need to stand up. We're going to hold a sign and say a slogan and then go back home. No. There has to be something done, and I looked at the founding documents of our country.
Dude, I don't think there's a better person, not to cut you off, but I don't think there's a better person to be the face of targeted individuals. Like, if you could get something going here, man, I mean, there's so many people with stories, very similar to yours, and maybe not to the degree of how high things got for them, but dude, I mean, because you're able to break the spell. A lot of these people
That's how a movement starts too. When you start to get a platform where there's endless amounts of these stories shared in a way that people can understand, in a way that can touch them in the heart, that's when you start to get everybody talking, and that's when movements happen.
Amen to
because
that.
you're one of the most intelligent people I know. So I don't think you're crazy at all. I do think that the government has fucked with your brain, though.
Well, yeah, but here's the thing. I fucked back.
Yeah, I know you do. I know you
Okay.
do. I know. I absolutely know you do, dude. I mean, yeah, we both believe in the ether and that there's things that go on up there that you could do. And yeah, I know you fucking do. Um, so it's just yeah, dude, I can't imagine being in your shoes, dude. I really can't. Like it's not something I really can comprehend.
Well,
I
I'll
mean,
say this
it takes
fun.
you go. I was gonna say it takes a shit ton of courage to just come on a platform and bear all this to the world to see, and make and for people to be able to make judgments about you by what you're saying, and you don't give a shit, and that's what makes you special. And there you go. I mean,
Well,
that's
dude,
the best way I could possibly put
here's the thing.
it.
Look at it like this, guys. And the reason I got so much confidence is because of what's on this fucking thing right here. All right. Whoa, shit. What's on my fucking phone? It's on my fucking phone. Okay.
Live
This thing
entertainment,
right
folks.
here.
You never know. Jake might fall out of his chair.
Yeah, this thing broke. It happens. But no, seriously, you guys, if I could just get that data, bro, then everything changes, because then people can see the dye in the water, right? We talked about that Sun Tzu Art of War, right? Where like if you want to know who your spies are, Sun Tzu said you take each of your generals into your tent individually and you give each of them a different piece of disinformation. And then you use your spies in the enemy camp to find out what piece of disinformation and ended up in the enemy camp. So it's almost like a different color of dye in each and every general's pocket. And then if they give it over to the enemy, then now we know what general is the traitor, you see? So similarly, if I can access the data on my phone and I can get all of the information I was sending over to the president, you guys would see I was running the fucking country from my phone for a couple of months. I shit you not. Okay. Like they were not just taking my advice on the campaign, but when they got in office, it was like I was running the admin from my phone, you guys. But this is what's crazy. And this is why we parted ways, because they kept stabbing the American people in the back. They weren't actually doing the things that they said they were going to do. They weren't releasing the cures for cancer. They weren't releasing the Epstein files. That whole thing with Pam, by the way, and the folders, that was kind of my idea. What it is I said, what you guys got is you got a massive pie with these Epstein files. You got literally thousands upon thousands of pages. What you should do is you should cut it into a bunch of different pieces, and you give each of those different pieces to a different influencer, and you allow them to break it down to their audience in their specific way. And that way we can have each of these different influencers with some more new information, and then everybody can talk about it and everybody can kind of cross-contaminate and put it all together, and we can really know what's going on with the Epstein file. And that'll break it all down nice and easy. You just got to pick the right influencers. And I said, you should probably get Whitney Webb involved. They didn't like that. But then they go do this shit with the folders. And I was like, Pam, what is this? Like, it's so funny. But if you guys could just seriously see some of the messages, I cuss them out. Like, what the fuck's the matter with you people?
Jesus, dude. Yeah, what a debacle this has been. I mean, how disappointed are you with everything, this whole administration so far? I mean, have you do you have a different eyes than you did, I'd say a year ago?
Yes and no. What you got to keep in mind, dude, is that all the while, because of the abuses that I'd suffered since 2017, all the while I'm in the back of my mind going, what are these fucking people doing to me? What the fuck is going on? Because the thing is, bro, is that Hollywood was doing the shit to me because of the whole thing with Michelle, right? Hollywood was doing the same shit to me. That movie Batman with Robert Pattinson, okay? I was writing fucking scripts and sending them to Hollywood, and they took some of my ideas and they put the scripts I was writing were Batman scripts, and I sent them to Hollywood, and they took some of my ideas and they put it in the fucking Batman movie. I sent them like an audition, because I said, look, here's my scripts. These are my terms. This is what I'm asking for. All I want is to play the Joker, and I just want 1% of all grossing products and money from the movie sales and blah 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 blah. I'm not asking for much. Here, it's $1 billion script. I got 4 of them. They started using some of my ideas. One of the ideas that I told them is that they should use villains' origin stories as a way of like creating more content, similar to how they did with the Avengers and how they had all the origin stories of all the superheroes. I said, if you guys just did that with DC, but you did it with villains and superheroes, and you made the villains like relatable and understandable somehow, some way, then you could actually have a really interesting take on all of this like world. And then so they did the Penguin series. I think it was on Netflix or something like that, right? And then they used a lot of my ideas in the new Batman movie. And in particular, I'll give you an example, like the whole thing where the Batman keeps getting notes, like love letters. That was in my script.
Shit.
Jesus, dude.
I haven't seen that.
I haven't either. I haven't.
Yeah,
It's hard for
same.
me to get into the movie industry after all we've me and you went down those rabbit holes together on the Occult Apocalypse show in Hollywood.
Check them out on this page
Hollywood
as
opened
well
my
on our
eyes to
Rumble
all
account.
this fuck shit. Yeah, those are timeless. Those are some great episodes we put together, man.
Yeah, they're the best, man. I was watching some of them the other day, or like a month or two ago, when I was like putting them out online. I always like reshare them every now and again because it's good stuff.
And they
It
all
is,
need deep
dude.
dives. They all need deep dives. Those were just like tip of the iceberg
Hey.
on the surface stuff.
But it was good.
We're
though.
still
We
here,
really-
you know. We could resume the Occult Apocalypse show at any time, you know.
We
Why?
always, had a
Okay.
pla- we always said there'd be a time and a place to revisit it.
Amen. I think what I need to do is learn when to shut the fuck up.
Yeah, well, if you're going to do a lawsuit, and then so you plan on representing yourself now, is that what I understand?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I mean, who could explain such a complex issue better than you? Is there any
If Jay
kind of
chose
like,
to-
have you looked in, like, I know like Paul Bonacci and that kind of those hearings and stuff like that. Is there any other kind of like legal stuff that's happened since then, as far as mind control, lawsuits against the government, anything like that of those of nature?
Yes. There's and I actually put it in my lawsuit, part of the psychotronic weapons portion of my lawsuit. And that is, I think it's Watterson versus Aro. And it's a case out of California where the woman actually proved that she was a targeted individual by this corporation, and she sued them in court and won. So I note that in my case of like, look, dude, I'm not crazy, you know, and this shit's been happening to other people. And I also, I pulled out the hearing from 2024 on psychotronic weapons and Havana syndrome, and I put that and the whole transcript in my lawsuit. So in that transcript, congressmen talk about the idea of people in DC having blown the whistle on being targeted individuals. Okay, so like this lawsuit is very much legit. A lot of this stuff is like real legal arguments. I even bring out the stuff with DARPA and the bioweapon that we call the mRNA jab. You know, that is also a part of my lawsuit, because what I've basically done, you guys, is I've shown how this unconstitutional government that's controlled by the Fed has violated my constitutional rights in numerous different ways over the course of years of my life, and abused me over the course of years of my life in an unconstitutional fashion. And then what I did is I also paralleled all the ways that this same Fed-controlled government has been abusing the American people and violating our constitutional rights as a whole. And then I basically prove, I say, look, these infractions, these violations of the Constitution, these are breaching of the contract. And the fact of the matter is that in 1871 and in 1913, we ceased to be the old United States Republic. Okay, we stopped being the old republic because we got into this new maritime law thing. You see, and that's all a part of the lawsuit as well. So the idea is that I'm making a legal argument that this state, the Fed, is unconstitutional, and that I am the rightful president of the old republic, because I'm the only person that has a track record, and I also put this in my lawsuit. It has a track record of fighting this unconstitutional mess and trying to preserve the constitutional republic of the United States. And so because I'm the only one with that track record, I basically am the only person that is able to legally claim POTUSship of the old republic. And in doing so, I'm basically saving the country. And the idea was that we're all going to go back to the Bill of Rights, the Constitution, and then we're going to build up from the basic Bill of Rights and Constitution like we did from the beginning. We'll do things like, obviously the abolition of slavery, you know, women's right to vote. Like these things are going to be given as far as amendments go to this new constitution. We're going to have a new constitutional Congress, and it's going to be on the 250th anniversary of the United States.
This is a vision you've had?
Kind of, yeah. Yeah, that's the thing, is that like my vision from 2004 also synced with Barack Obama winning the presidency in 2008 and creating a caliphate in the Middle East. Yeah, I had that vision in 2004. I told my family, they all thought I was nuts till it turned out that it actually happened. And then I had that vision in 2012 I told you guys about, where I was on top of my roof and I basically saw what happened on January 6th. You know, and so God keeps giving me these visions of the future, and as long as I act on them, we can avoid cataclysm. And this is all a part of shamanism, you guys, having visions of the future, interacting with the spirit world, you know, fighting demons in the ether. All that's shamanism, dude, and it's real.
How long have you been I guess in the battle, in the shamanistic battle?
Long time. I really got serious as far as like the spiritual warfare element of it in 2012.
And that was post-Navy or pre-Navy?
Yeah, post-Navy. But the thing is that when I was in the Navy, and this is what gets kind of interesting when you really think about it. So I'm in the Navy, right? And my brothers are talking to me about this new drug that is hitting the head shops called salvia, right?
Oh,
and
yeah,
so
I remember that thing.
Legal, right?
Yeah.
I couldn't smoke weed in the Navy, and I wanted to buzz, you know? So I went into this place called Roppongi. It's like the party central of Japan when I was in Japan. And I went in there looking for salvia, and there was this fabulous Furry Freak Brothers head shop. And I was like, holy shit, no way. My dad introduced me to them. So I walked in the head shop, and I asked the guy, the Japanese guy, I said, do you guys have any salvia? And he goes, oh, no, we have no salvia. We have this. And he comes over, she points at this thing in the cabinet, like a little glass thing. And it's this like bag that's about this big, you know, and it has these green little squares in it, you know? And he says, you take this is meshkrin. Meshkrin. And I said, meshkrin, huh? What's meshkrin? Right? and he says, you boil it, is cactus, you boil and you drink and you sitting. I said, okay, what's it called? And he goes, meshkrin. It's called meshkrin. And I was like, meshkrin. Oh,
it was mescaline, wasn't it?
Mescaline. Oh, you mean mescaline?
I knew it.
And I was like, I'll take that. You know?
Is that a flavor over there?
What's that?
Is that one of their flavors over there that people like to take?
No. It was in the head shop, and it was just like a one dose thing of San Pedro flakes, which San Pedro flakes have mescaline in them. So I took it back to my buddy's dorm and boiled it up. And I had rented a movie at the time, a movie called Deja Vu, right? And that movie is about Denzel Washington basically working with a secret government agency that has access to looking glass technology and is able to send him back in the past, and he can alter a timeline and save a woman's life. So like I'm tripping balls on mescaline for the first time in my life, and I'm watching Deja Vu as like he's talking about altering a future timeline or a past timeline to create a different timeline, right? And I had these visions of the future of Barack Obama in 2004, long before the Navy, of how it is, and like I'm telling people, and you know I'm trying to alter the timeline. You know, so like imagine the strange, like build, and there's a lot that goes into it as well. I'm not going to get too deep into it without, you know, we don't have the time, but yeah, dude. So that was the first time I ever tried mescaline, and that was also the first time I ever like really understood how time travel technology could work.
Jesus, dude.
Oh, and for one thing I forgot to mention, the movie, in the beginning of the movie, a boat or a ferry of sailors and their family, Navy sailors and their family, are attacked by a terrorist. Okay, so I'm in the Navy, and I see that this terrorist attacks these people that are in the Navy, right? So it's kind of close to home, and then this detective has to use time travel technology to go back in time and save all these people in the Navy from dying. You know, and this woman. Long story short, but it's a great movie. You should see it, and that is, in one form or another, believe it or not, it does have to do with the super soldier program, because the military has access to this technology, you guys.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally believe that they have access to that technology and they use it. They absolutely use it. I mean,
course.
what do you think on January 6th it was used on like a wide range of the whole crowd to mess with people's
It
psyche?
was. Yes, it was. No, I forgot who released the document, but there was a document that was released somewhat recently. I think it was in the last like several months that proved that mind control frequencies were actually used on the crowd on January 6th. And all that stuff about the pipe bomber that recently came out. Did you guys see that?
Mm-mm.
Oh,
No.
I mean, well,
Oh
a little
yeah,
bit. Catch us
supposedly
up.
people.
No, what did you hear?
I've
Supposedly
seen the old
there's
FBI dyke looking lady that they got pinned. Is that, I don't know how accurate that is. That's really, I like I said, I haven't been on the internet much.
It's okay. I was actually asking. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I'm drawing a blank on your name.
Big Sean.
Sean.
that's
Sean.
me.
I don't know why I was
No,
thinking Paul.
I just
Sean.
I briefly read something about there supposedly being some kind of connection to Kamala Harris and people within her campaign and her staff, and there being links there, and there's supposedly being some kind of official congressional document that points to it, that could lead to stuff coming out, which I'm sure you know quite a bit more about than I do. So why don't you take it from there?
Well, from what I understand, Sean, I'm definitely going to remember now. I'm so terrible with names, and I just got done smoking. Forgive me. But the pipe bomber
So do we.
supposedly was a Capitol police officer, and she was also one of the ones that fired the first pepper ball.
Someone in the comments just says they used LARD, LARAD on the crowd in
Yeah,
AU. All the
I wouldn't be
cops.
surprised.
Yeah.
But it was a Capitol police officer that, from what I understand, I think it was a Capitol police officer or like an FBI agent or something like that, that was the person that planted the pipe bomb. And it was also the same person that supposedly fired the first shot on the peaceful crowd on January 6th.
What's this about these magnetic doors I supposedly saw? There's talk of
Yeah, they were open
magnetic
from the
doors just
inside.
opening. Well, here we
Yeah, they were
go.
open from the inside. Yeah, that's it.
Is this
Former
this
Capitol
confirmed?
Police. Here we go. Yes, I believe so. I think this is part of what's been coming out about this narrative and about the pipe bomber, and that's why we're not talking about it is just bananas.
Yeah, I was wondering. That was a question I wanted to ask you, because since you were the face of J6, like, are you still paying attention to this, kind of like with every little thing?
No, not every little thing, because a lot of it's bullshit.
Right.
A lot of the drama and stuff, you guys, it's designed to make the environment toxic. It's designed to get the J6 people to where they can't gather together and stand up for our rights. But I am paying attention somewhat. There's a lot of people in the J6 community that are very upset with Donald Trump because, like, for example, there's some people that the government still hasn't given them their property back, or there's some
Wait,
people
is this a clip of the
pipe bomber? Yeah.
What is? Let's watch that real quick, and then we'll get back to it. I'm gonna make this huge. John, turn that sound up. Let's see it.
I don't think it's just music playing. That's why he was talking. I just didn't want to play the music.
Yeah, I think that's a pipe bomber.
Shit, yeah, that's all they show.
I mean, that's pretty damning, I'd say.
Well, here's the thing, dude. The narrative is a lie. Okay, so it's never going to hold up, especially under scrutiny. That's why they only show a certain amount of the footage. That's why Johnson hasn't released all the footage. Okay, because of the narrative, it's just going to blow wide open. Look at it like this. If it's true that there were like FBI agents or Capitol Police or feds inside of the Capitol dressed as Trump supporters before the Capitol was breached, then that means that the whole thing was fucking planned.
Yes.
Okay. That means that the whole thing was orchestrated, which means that the whole setup that we could all sue the government. Okay. And not just the people from January 6th, but you could also say that the whole of the country could basically have grounds for getting rid of the government based on treason, because they're perpetrating a psychological warfare operation on the American people, right? So, I mean, what is treason? It's levying war against the people of the United States or aiding and abetting the enemy. And so if Israel was behind January 6th, then what is the government doing? Aiding and abetting the enemy.
It's like these
war
are
on the
questions
United
that a
States.
lot of people are asking right now. Right now, more than ever, people are asking questions about Israel, about Mossad, about January 6th, about everything, and I've never seen such an upswell. And
Ever since Charlie Kirk, man, that's when it all blew up really big.
That's when people just stopped giving a shit entirely. When, you know, when somebody who seemed to be a very truly kind person who never said a terrible thing in his entire life publicly gets his head blown off for no fucking reason. Of course, people are rising up, and this is a time where you're going to grow even bigger than you ever could imagine, Jake. And you just got to keep that courage, man. You just got to keep pushing. And you know, we got your back.
Well, I appreciate that, you know, and I mean, when somebody says they're Jesus, there's only so much that you can do for their public rep, but
Hey man,
but you know what, man? I like having fun with it. I like having fun with it, bro, because the thing is that a lot of people, they're just never going to understand, no matter how you put it to them, no matter if you explain like the effects of what it is that I did and what it is that I said and when I said it and how it basically is the reason that Israel is crippling right now or in crumbling. Believe it or not, if you look at when I said what I said, and then you look at when this shit happened with Israel and Benjamin Netanyahu and how it all just like caved in, that happened right after May 12th. And right after I said all that shit on Spaces.
Do you think the Jesus thing, though, could be like them trying to fuck with you and make you sound crazy, so therefore discrediting you in the process?
Of course that's possible, but what you got to understand, bro, and this is why that movie Deja Vu was so important. So check this shit out, right? And this is 100% true. This is part of the reason why I have my beliefs the way that I do. I'm just being honest, like, and vulnerable, like Sean was saying, okay? So growing up, first of all, I remember where I came from before I was born. Okay, I have
telling me this a long time ago.
Yeah, I have pre-birth memories, and a lot of the pre-birth memories that I have ended up becoming deja vus later on in my life, where I was like, "Oh shit, that was a mile marker from that tunnel of light and like rainbow vision that I had before I was born." Like, oh, I remember that. And one of the things I remembered was Barack Obama's face, his voice, the two little dots that he had here, his ears, all of it. And in my vision, like prior to birth, it was like, this dude is the motherfucking Antichrist. This dude is the beast of Revelation. He's going to create a caliphate or like a kingdom in the Middle East using American military and American intelligence apparatus. He's going to try to destroy the country and take over the damn world for the New World Order. And when you look at what the man did with the whole thing with the caliphate, when you look at what he did with how many drone strikes, when you look at the pedophilia and you look at the way he divided the country based on race and sexual preference, the man, he lived up to it. Okay. But in my vision, I also saw that Hillary Clinton was going to run after Obama had 8 years and that she was going to lose to somebody. Right. And in this vision, I also saw myself sitting in like on the throne of power, like right on the right hand of God. And God's like, look, this dude's the Antichrist and this is who you are. Believe it or not, you are my son. And you are like the one true king, dude. And I was like, a 17-year-old kid, I'm just like, what the fuck? You know, and this is the other thing. I am having deja vu after deja vu after deja vu after deja vu from this experience of my pre-birth life. Okay. And this tunnel that I was in prior to birth. So like I'm having deja vus along with these visions of the future. And this is the thing. I'm not the only one. My brothers are also having these visions and having deja vus and having these strange occurrences happen with me, in sync with me. So like I would get an epiphany of the future. I'd see like a vision of the future and I'd be like, oh my God, dude, I just got an epiphany. And my brother would be like, dude, I just had a fucking deja vu. Right? Now check this out. Then we had this thing. We called them recordings, which we had all the movie channels, right? And so we would take a blank VHS tape, you know, and we would plug it into the VCR, and then we would record and pause different movies. And we'd like get a 1 minute scene from this movie, we'd record it, and then we'd pause, and then we'd go to another channel and get another like 2 minute or 30-second snippet from the next movie, like random crazy shit. and then we'd string it all together for like 5 minutes of nothing but crazy shit, and then we would get high and watch these things. But the thing is that as each of us was doing our own recordings, like if my brother was doing recordings, then me and my other brothers wouldn't be in the room. If I was doing a recording, my brothers wouldn't be in the room. So that way, when we watched them, when we got stoned, it was new for us. But that's where it gets crazy, because a lot of the time we get super lit and then we'd watch this stuff, and it would be our dreams from the night before or like a week prior. The recordings that we're watching, like there was times where I literally got in fights with my brothers of like, no, I got these recordings. And my brother's like, no, I fucking got them yesterday. I said, no, dude, I know this. I've seen this before. I fucking got this like a week ago. And then I had to remember, no, it's a fucking, I had it in a dream. It was a fucking deja vu. So like, dude, yeah, right. And then in all these deja vus, I'm getting this message of like, because I'm having these dreams, and then in the dream, I'm like, okay, if I have this as a deja vu, then that means my mind is really outside of space and time, and I really am fucking Jesus. Okay, that's weird, right? And so then I'm having these experiences, and my brothers are having them too, you know. And so what am I supposed to do? You know, and it was really hard at first, you guys, because like I ran from it. What do you say to that? You know, and like how do you accept that about yourself? You know, but I mean,
I think it would just drive the average person over the edge. To me, I mean, how do you couple with how do you grapple with something of that level of gravity? I mean, you don't, and I think you're about to tell us how you did, and I'm interested.
Yeah, well, dude, I'll tell you this much, bro. If it wasn't for the fact that my brothers were going through it too, I probably wouldn't have believed in it as much as I did. And then when Barack Obama won the presidency in 2008 and started to do all this stuff that I had in my vision of the future, I was like, oh shit. So for like from 2008 until around 2012, I was in a depression, bro. Because it's like, dude, how am I going to climb this fucking mountain? How am I going to be fucking Jesus, dude? How am I going to stop the New World Order from taking over? I don't have any money. I don't have any support. I don't have any fucking like resources, you know? Like, what am I going to do? Right? And then so, you know, that's when I wrote my Declaration of Independence in 2009. That's also actually, that's when I got on KFII in 2008 and talked about Tesla Tower technology and burning money. And I think that was when I really got the government's attention, was when I got on live radio and started talking about declassified patents and burning money. You know?
That'll do it. Every time.
So after that, I wrote the deck. So after Barack Obama won the election, I was like, holy shit, I got to do something. I got to fucking do something. You know, like I've seen this vision of the future. I've seen the cataclysm coming. I've seen the Armageddon coming if I don't do something. But what's going to happen is it's going to be kind of like Cassandra's disease a little bit, in that I will go around. If I go around trying to tell people, I'll seem crazy and nobody's going to believe me anyway. So what do I have to do? If I've seen the vision of the future, how do I change the timeline? How do I get enough attention to alter the course of history? Right. And that was when I thought, you know, if there was a Jew in Germany at the rise of the Third Reich, if a Jew in Germany did X, Y, and Z, would it be able to stop the Holocaust? That was like the idea I had in my head. So I looked at the founding documents of our country. I was like, okay, what happened when our founders got into deep water, right? So I looked at Thomas Jefferson's Declaration of Independence, and I saw that basically what it was a legal document. It was a legal document that was stating all of the reasons why they were choosing to secede and choosing to declare independence from the tyrannical state of England, right? And the crown. And it's basically like saying there's all these lists of grievances. These are all the things that we did when the state did this. This is what we did. When the state did that, this is what we did. When the state did this in response to what we did, this is what we did, right? We tried every single legal means we could, and it wasn't going to work. So now we're declaring independence and saying, fuck you to England. If you want to take our guns, come and fucking get them, right? And so when I realized that that's essentially what the Declaration of Independence was, I was like, oh, well, then I guess I have to write my own, right? And I knew I knew, at least I believed, that the government was watching me because of what happened in 2008 with KFYI and the radio. So I figured they were watching my computer. But the thing is even if they didn't, I knew that there was software written into the computer that if you use certain keywords like treason or sedition or violence or something like that, then especially if you use them all together, then your computer screen is going to pop up on intelligence agencies like NatSec computer screen in some, different state. I don't know, like DC or some shit, So
I totally believe that.
Dude, and it's true. It worked. So I wrote the Declaration of Independence and I got their fucking attention. And how I know I got their attention is because, seriously, guys, not even a couple of months later, the movie Avatar came out. Okay,
Wait a second. Where are we going with this, Jake?
I know. Believe me, I know. But this is something you guys got to understand, okay? Just hear me out on this. Without judging too much.
Yeah, let's hear it.
Because it's actually kind of a funny story. So the first time I was ever contacted with psychotronic weapons, I was sweeping the floor. I had gotten super lit. I was really, really high. And I was sweeping the floor at my dad's place, sweeping the tile, and I hear a voice that says, when you think of your superiors, what emotions do you feel? And I was like, what the fuck is this? So then when it came back, I started going in my mind, where I'm hearing this voice. I'm not actually saying it out loud. In my mind, I'm going
trying to block it out.
Yes, blocking it out, whatever this is, because I'm not fucking hearing voices, bro. No, fuck that shit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I'm hearing this and I'm and then eventually I'm like, okay, they keep trying to ask me something. Let's at least hear what they have to say. And then ask, when you think of your superiors, what emotions do you feel? And it's weird how in the insinuation of the question, I also got the vibe, because it was shortly after the Navy, that it was somehow like they were asking me about my military experience. And like, what do I feel about like my military? And I'm like, you want to know what the problem I got with your little dog and pony show you call a fucking military? Number one, lots of dudes. Number two, why can't I smoke weed, bro? I mean, you guys let people drink alcohol. Why can't I smoke weed? Right? The fucking weed is the best. And we should be allowing people to smoke this shit. All right? And then somebody on the other end says, this is really serious. And I said, you know what's serious? My dick in your mouth. And I'm saying all that in my head. Right? Not a word spoken aloud. Okay? And then all of a sudden it's gone. And I'm like, huh. Okay, that's kind of weird. And then I feel this strangeness in the ether, like wherever it was that was coming from, there was like this weird vibe. And then so I go on with my life. And then not even a couple of months fucking later, Pineapple Express comes out. And that's the first fucking scene in the movie.
Jesus.
Okay, so
that's quite a while ago then.
2008.
Yeah,
you've been dealing with this for a long time.
Dude, that's what I'm saying. You got no idea. Okay. So like when the Joker used
is there tactics you use to subdue it? Like, is there anything?
No, it's always followed me around. That's kind of what I'm going through right now. And except it's to like the nth degree, because I'm not cooperating with Israel. I'm not cooperating with their timeline, their corrupt timeline, And I know it sounds bizarre, dude. Believe me, I know it's how it sounds bananas.
It does, but it doesn't. I'm into all
Let's
this
get
stuff,
back to
so
Avatar,
it
because
doesn't.
It's plausible.
I want you to try to understand that when the government, look at it like this: if the government can cripple whole economies in foreign nations and literally like make it seem like nothing happened, that they had no involvement, imagine what they can do to a person.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah, dude.
Like, look at it like this. You were saying earlier, social media, they have all your information. They know all your likes, all your dislikes, what your opinions are, what your beliefs are, etc., right? So I write my Declaration of Independence. And in my Declaration of Independence, there's a lot of talk about the Native Americans and how even all the way back from one of the treaties with the Native Americans, the federal government never kept its word with the people, that they are liars through and have been for a long time. That was one of the things that was in my declaration. So when Avatar comes out and the main character's name is Jake, he's being like recruited into like some super soldier program. And lo and behold, Oh my gosh, I just lost it. Son of a bitch. He's being a part. He's recruited in a super soldier program, and it's like the Native American vibe with the Na'vi, right? And the psychedelics and I was doing a lot of psychedelics at the time, So like I'm just saying, like all of these things were like layered together, and I could not ignore it. And Michelle Rodriguez is in that movie. Yeah. Okay. So there's all of these things that to everybody else in the world, it's just like, oh, that's nothing. But to me, it's like, especially after that shit with Pineapple Express, to me, that's like, what the fuck?
Shit,
Like, whoa, dude. Like, are you guys trying to say you're behind me all the way? Like, what are you trying to say here? Because like this is kind of a big deal here, So long story short, because of that movie and because of all that happened, I also got in a car accident shortly after that. My life began to fall apart, actually. I think I was targeted because of what it is that I did, right? And so shortly thereafter, like after 4 years of depression and like refusing to acknowledge my destiny and refusing to acknowledge who I know in my bones that I am, and I'm not afraid to say, just like Jesus wasn't afraid to say 2,000 years ago, I am, and you're going to see the Son of Man come sitting at the right hand of the power and coming on the kingdom, coming on the clouds of heaven, right? Dude said it, knowing he was going to get the shit kicked out of him. All right. So long story short, I decided to get back on the horse in 2012. I decided that if Obama really was who I know who I knew he was, then I had to do something. And so that's when I started working with kids. That's when I started walking the shamanic path. That's when I started getting my tattoos. That's when I started getting my life together. And that's also when I started writing books. Now, this is important. It's kind of a sidebar, but it's in the lawsuit. Okay. So when I made that call to KFII in 2008, I made a single phone call. And as far as the deep state is concerned, considering the way that the phone call went, I might as well have been like blowing up the airwaves, because I've talked about a class of declassified but classified technology that could literally end the Fed. Okay. And I'm also talking about burning money, right? Now, there's things in the movie The Dark Knight that I was like, that's interesting, because after what happened with Pineapple Express, things that went on in here were no longer the same, right? So like when the Joker says what doesn't kill you simply makes you stranger, right? Or because I mean, if you guys saw what was happening inside of your head on a TV screen, how would you feel about that?
No, it freaked me the fuck out. Yeah, I mean,
Right.
I wouldn't know what to make it. Like I said earlier, dude, I can't imagine myself in your shoes. I just don't. I can't. It's hard to comprehend for people. So it does sound crazy, but yeah, man.
Well,
I mean,
really
like
quick,
you're not the first, though.
I really want to finish the Dark Knight thing because it's important, at least if you want to understand the Avatar thing. So,
sure,
like the Joker blows up the police station with a single well-timed phone call, right? What did he also do when he got that big pyramid full of money? He fucking burned it, dude. And here's the other thing, and this is another thing that I kind of thought was, that's interesting. My father was a drinker and a fiend. Okay, that whole thing about taking the knife after mommy and laughing while he does it. Dude, my dad was a drinker and a fiend. And he used to argue with my mom and call her names and like verbally abuse her just for fun, to make her leave the house so he could stay at home and drink. Okay, so like when I see stuff like that, and this is really important, in 2013, after Avatar came out in 2009, after Dark Knight in 2008, when I get my shit together, I start, going to the gym, I start working with kids, I start getting tattoos, I start walking the shamanic path, then The Dark Knight Rises comes out. And in The Dark Knight Rises, isn't there like an infinite energy device that he mothballs because people rejected it, or it had the potential to be a weapon?
Again, I'm not the movie expert, so I'm going to take your word for it. Yeah.
That is the case.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, in that movie, Bruce Wayne was talking about bringing an infinite energy device to the public, but it could be weaponized. And that was what Bane was using to basically create a nuclear bomb.
Yeah.
Right? Okay. Now, I know all that is kind of woo-woo, but what you got to keep in mind is that when Bane broke Batman's back, you know, and Batman said, I don't fear death, I fear dying in here while my city burns in front of me. That's how I felt in so many ways, and why I chose to get up off my ass and choose to like walk this destined path that God gave to me, even though it sounded fucking crazy, right? Even though I had no guarantee of success whatsoever, but I had these visions of the future, you know, and it's like, okay, I got to make the climb. And so I had to make the climb out of the fucking pit, and I had to make the climb out of the pit without a rope, dude. I had to walk that path. I had to make that leap of faith without knowing whether or not I was going to be met with help. You know, and so all of these things for me personally, as I'm watching this stuff, is like, huh. And here's the thing, you guys, I'm not sitting there thinking at the time, like, this is for me. This is for me. This is no. These are things where I'm just like, that's interesting. That's also interesting. That's very interesting too. I'm just going to keep that back here for now, right? And then as things began to build up, I couldn't help but go, oh my God. Here's another example. You guys know that the newest, not the newest, actually it's FF9, Fast and Furious 9. The bad guy in that movie, what's his name? Look it up.
Vin Diesel. His name is
Vin
Diesel.
The Rock's in it. I disregard it.
No, it's not The Rock. Just look up Fast and Furious 9, bad guy. Look it up. I want people to see.
John's quick with it.
I know.
Way quicker than me.
Yeah, look it up. Tell me what his name is. And then when you guys realize that there's all sorts of little Easter eggs in that movie that only I would know about, or that only I and they would know about. What's his name? The villain. Bad guy. I'm trying to see if it'll pop up the name. No, that's.
Let me go to not images. Let me just go to all.
Otto. This is really quite pathetic that nobody here. Well, no, maybe it shows.
Dude, I'm so bad with movies. I don't.
It doesn't matter. I'm trying. It's
I don't have the first idea.
The bad guy's name is fucking Jake.
Oh fuck.
Okay, and there's all sorts of stuff that are Easter eggs in that fucking movie that only I would know about, dude. And so this is the point I'm getting at, is that when the government targets an individual, they can and will use all assets at their disposal to target that individual and make them feel like they are siloed, that they cannot escape, that they are in a corner that they cannot get out of. And this is why a lot of people end up committing suicide, because they get triangulated with the psychotronic weapons, and then weird shit like this happens to them. I'll give you another example really quick. I think we might have talked about this during the Cult Apocalypse show, maybe not. There's a story going around that, or maybe it was you that told me, Dave, about the Miss Doubtfire thing. Were you the one that told me that about Miss Doubtfire?
I don't believe so.
Oh, dude. So the story goes that there was this guy in California that got his kids taken from him unjustly by CPS. And he fought it in court. He fought it with the police. He fought it with CPS, and no avail. Then his kids come to him and tell him during supervised visits once a week that they are being raped, like like ritually, by like people that are doing this like often and frequently. And the woman that is like looking after his kids is this old, like burly English woman with like a little, like I forgot what the thing is called, crochet or whatever, and like, bunned up hair and glasses with a thick English accent, and he's talking to this woman saying like, dude, my kids are saying blah, 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 and blah, 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 blah. And the woman's like, oh, no, everything's fine. I don't know what you're talking about. So the guy takes him to court and telling the judge. And then the same woman that's taking care of the kids, Your Honor, everything's fine. The police came in and they looked around. There's nothing wrong. This man is crazy. Guy ends up losing custody of his kids in spite of the fact that they're getting raped by the system, literally. Then, not even a year later, the movie Mrs. Doubtfire comes out. and it just so happens to be about this guy that gets his kids taken away from him. And so he dresses up and looks like this English woman that looks like, sounds like, talks like, dresses like this woman that was involved in this case with this guy and these kids. And Mrs. Doubtfire, well, that means that what? That everybody's doubting that there's a fire. You see? And so this is how they will fuck with you, dude. This is the kind of stuff that they do to people.
Yeah, so it's clearly, obviously, you've been battered with these psychotronic weapons. And we're going to want to hear all about all of this stuff and how it relates to your lawsuit. We're going to get that set up really soon. But yeah, as we get ready to head out here tonight, I just give a brief description to people on how a guy like you goes through your everyday and how you beat these thoughts back and how you continue to be,
there's a lot of people, man, that need guidance on this stuff.
Yeah, and it's got to come from you because you still have it together, and a lot of these people are just on the street at this point because they can't hold it back at all. Give people a brief overview of what you have to do every single day to just function and be a normal member of society.
I'm not a normal member of society.
I don't think that will ever happen.
You know what I mean. You know what I mean. But anyways, elaborate.
Yeah, I'll say this, man. What doesn't kill you makes you stronger. And were it not for the fact that these people invaded the privacy of my mind and my own personal thoughts, like you guys, I haven't had, up until I learned how to do this little trick, I didn't have a private thought for years, for like 7 or 8 years. But then eventually, through real stilling of the mind, I learned how to juggle thoughts in a dimension that they can't track. So I can actually have ideas and plans that they don't know about, and I can still surprise them. But the psychotronic weapons, they can basically use an AI and your digital twin to kind of create like an algorithm of predictive programming that they can use to manipulate your mind so that they can basically map your thoughts for you. So this is y'all, dude, it gets bananas. Trust me.
That's all I'm doing this whole time.
When you realize that it's a maze, right? But you can fly above the maze, then the maze has no power. But the psychotronic weapons make you feel stuck, like you're stuck in a maze that you can't get out of. I will also say that, so obviously, so does the stuff in the movies and stuff. That will definitely fuck you up. But they have other ways too. Like what they can also do is like have people around you, like they'll target you with specific individuals wearing like certain messages on T-shirts, or they'll have somebody walk by you and say something very specific that you're like, how the fuck did they know that? You know what I mean? Like they have 1,000, to quote Chuck Schumer, the intelligence agencies have 1,000 ways of Sunday of getting back at you.
Yeah.
Right. So I guess the only real answer to it is, it reminds me of Marcus Aurelius. He said, death smiles at us all. All one can do is smile back.
Okay.
So if these people are following you around, or if they're bothering you or whatever, don't let them get to you. Smile, give them the finger. Don't let it get to your emotions, because that's the whole point. Is that they want to make you feel like you're going crazy. They want to make you feel like it's hopeless. They want to make you feel like there's no escape. And none of that is true. It's all an illusion.
Well said, man. And so keep us updated on how you're going to go about this. If you want to come back on and present it in a more of a standard, like this is how you're going to present it to the courts, we would love to see that. We'll organize it a
ahead
little
of
bit
time
better
on that too. We'll prepare like graphical stuff we can show with bullet points and things to show on screen. We'll help you through it. But
dude.
I think it's
It
an
could be a
amazing
landmark
opportunity
lawsuit
here.
Yeah, this could be a landmark lawsuit if it could be successful, because I mean, when you're talking about psychological warfare on the public, that's a whole can of worms that really hasn't been opened yet. So if you can crack that open, man,
that's the real treason. And if we crack that can open, really, what the hell is next?
Mm-hmm.
Well, and that's kind of the point, guys. That is the point. Is a real, like, yes, John, a real awakening. Not a false awakening, not one of these things where everybody's rah, rah, rah because it's on TV. No, I'm talking about a real grassroots thing where everybody's talking about it because it's the only thing anybody's talking about. And that's going to come down to things like the Epstein files getting released, which, some of the stuff on Trump recently getting released is really important. But, you guys, the real tragedy here, I think, is actually something that was said earlier in the space that I didn't really get a chance to highlight on, is that is how many other people are going through what it is that I'm going through and either couldn't make it and either committed suicide or, couldn't make it and stopped being activists trying to stop PFAS from destroying our water supply or something. All sorts of people are targeted with these weapons because they pose a threat to the Fed, or because they pose a threat to a corporation, or because they pose a threat to an intelligence agency or something like that. And part of why it is that I've done what I've done with this lawsuit is because I want to be able to come forward in a way that's nonviolent, where we can actually talk about these things that we all need to talk about. And when we do talk about it, it'll shift the consciousness. And that will be the real change everybody's looking for.
Had you ever considered like doing a joint lawsuit with somebody? I mean, do you know of any other people that are in this similar situations? You maybe not as high profile, obviously.
Well, yeah.
Did you ever think about bringing
think,
all that at once and dropping a whole bunch of cluster of these things?
I think it's better that I just do it myself and then set the bar. I do also believe that most of Congress and most of like Hollywood celebrities are also targeted individuals. They are victims of MK Ultra. Okay. And some of them, it doesn't work out so well for them. And it's because, once again, like what's happened with me in many ways, what the government does is they have plausible deniability. They'll bring these people into the MK Ultra or into the program, and then when they don't serve them anymore, they get rid of them. And then they try to poke them in the cage so that they can get them to look rabid or crazy. And then they can say, see, Brittany's losing her mind, when really she's just a victim of psychotronic weapons, and these people are trying to get her to fucking like do something stupid to herself or something. You see what I'm saying?
And when it's time to cut them loose, they send them out to shoot up a school or something to further the narrative. They don't just cut them loose. They use them as a useful tool.
Yes, and that happens too as well, especially in the really high level trauma victims, right? So, I'm doing this for all of us, you guys. And because the fact of the matter is that all it takes, you guys, is one noble stand. And every one of you will eventually be where it is that I'm at. Maybe not to the same degree, because I've chosen to just continuously give them the finger and go forward. But eventually, if you try to take a stand against these people, you guys will be in my shoes, where you're being targeted unfairly and unjustly because you're standing up against evil. So that's why I'm taking the hits, bro, so nobody else has to.
I think that's the best way to go about it, dude, because people, like we said, we can't say it enough. People, there's no guidance on this. There's nobody out there that can help people with this. But if you could draw attention to it, I think that would be a pretty great thing. Actually, our last guest we had on, I'm not sure if you're familiar with him. 7Cs is the handle. He does some great research work, and he
check him out. I think you'd like him.
We were talking about the targeted individuals and how they've used the nanotech and stuff like that, and in the bloodstream, wild stuff that he had like connected patents to companies that are all involved and connected with influencers, and really some really deep, dark stuff. So yeah, this technology exists. It's being used on people. We're talking to one right now. So this is real, guys. And Jake, that's why I wanted to have you on, because this problem needs a voice.
And you know what? I'm excited at the potential of helping you articulate this lawsuit, so everybody that watches can understand. Like, we need to go all in on this. We need to sit down with you. We need to make PowerPoint-esque presentations where you can show, you can discuss, and it just needs to be able to be seen and understood and digested. And you're just the guy to do it. And we got the time, and Dave built the platform.
So
okay. Well, do you guys have all of the exhibits in like a way that can pull them out and like PowerPoint them for you? All I have to do.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, we can do this next week sometime, or we'll communicate whenever the best time is for you and us, and we'll plan it out. And yeah, dude, next time we'll bring some exhibits up of what you're actually gonna bring into the courthouse. I think that's gonna be some riveting stuff.
Hell yeah, man.
Yeah, dude, it really is. And I look forward to it. Final breadcrumb here. I'm working with kids in group homes, right? For years, teen boys in particular. But I also volunteered working arts for kids of Arizona, all ages. Okay. And while I was by the government, by Hollywood, by DC, right, while all this is going on, I think this was in 2018 or maybe 2009, the movie Instant Family comes out. Okay. And in this movie Instant Family, about this couple that decides to adopt 3 children from the foster care system and basically integrate themselves in, the adoption / foster care group system. They first of all have like my favorite cereal, organic favorite cereal, on the shelf in one of their scenes, which, not a big deal. But when I saw that, and then I coupled it with the fact that the 16-year-old girl that they adopt, her love interest in the movie, the boy she has a crush on, is named Jake. And when the adoptive mother is dropping off the adopted or the foster daughter to school, she says, "Oh, is that boy Jake that waved at you? That boy right there that's picking up that piece of trash?" And the thing is, everywhere I go, if I see trash on the ground, I pick it up. Okay. So when I saw that they were saying, "Oh, that boy Jacob that's picking up the piece of trash," and it's in a film about kids in the foster care system, right?
Jesus
and then
Christ.
and it gets deeper. It turns out that the kid that the mother, the stepmother, thought was Jake was not actually Jake. It turns out the 16-year-old girl had a crush on like the 20-something-year-old janitor, who then later on asks her for nudes in the movie, and then the stepfather comes and beats the shit out of this Jake guy. Right? So obviously they don't like pedophiles either. Right? Obviously they don't like pedophiles either. They see that I'm picking up trash everywhere that I go. They see that I only eat organic food. They see that I'm working with kids in group homes. And it's like things like that, like I said, that nobody else would notice.
So do you think that specific script was tailored for you? Or do you think it works in a different way?
Well, look at it like this. They can already have the script there. All they have to do to fuck with somebody, and it could be me or it could be anybody. That's what you got to understand about all Hollywood movies, is that there's Hollywood movies out there that could be a specific psyop to target a specific person to get them think a specific way about something. Okay? Or about something that they experienced, or like Ms. Doubtfire. Okay.
Sure. I mean, we know the CIA was heavily involved in Hollywood, and I'm sure still is, obviously. There's no way they got their fingers out of it. I mean, that's just ridiculous.
My point is they can have a bunch of scripts already to go.
That can trigger people.
All they have to do is inject a little thing in there and tailor those little things, those little injections, to fit a very specific person. And then they can throw those. Do you see what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, the next stream, dude, we got to do a better job of breaking this down, of making it simplified for people that aren't under attack to understand this, because it
should be a multi-episode situation. One whole dedicated to this part of it and all the other aspects too. It's just got to be broken down into extreme detail in a manner that everybody can understand.
You definitely start losing people when you start talking about the movies and stuff like that, because it's hard to follow. It's very hard to follow, but obviously what's going on, the weaponry they're using in your brain is fucking, mixing all your shit up, dude. It's fucking with you. It's got to be, right?
Well, that's the thing. Well, that's the thing is no.
Like, do you have days like where you're like, fuck, I'm fucked? Do you then like days where you're like, okay, I'm good, man? So
I
not
did
like that
when I was in prison, but like nowadays, dude, nah, dude, I'm too much of a fucking G for that shit.
Yeah, good, man. That's
I don't worry. No, dude, I'm on top. Dude, the moment I realized that I could store my thoughts in a dimension that they couldn't examine or could not fuck with, I've been good, bro. I'm able to like withdraw, and now I'm in charge, dude. Now I'm in fucking control. How do you think I'm able to do stuff like this and not be all like with psychotronic weapon abuse? Because number one, they know that what I'm trying to do is the right thing to do. Number two, I think that they want me to do it. Number 3, at this point, they know I don't give a fuck. I'm going to keep going. And it's enlightenment or bust. It's ascension or bust. You know what I mean? And yeah, I want to break this down. I want to do a multi-episode thing. But no, it is not fucking me up. And you're going to see that in the lawsuit. You're going to see how I handled this like a fucking G, dude. Like a fucking G.
Good, man. No, I know. I mean, you always have, man. You always have the presence.
Heck yeah.
So dude, let's set it up. We'll text and we'll you send us over the stuff so we'll be able to kind of dissect it too before we jump on and give you our feedback on it and hopefully give you some good guidance on how to take this thing on. How soon do you plan to take this thing? Do you have a time frame?
Well, I just got back my little green slip. I tried to serve Israel, the state of Israel, when I went to DC recently.
No way.
Yeah, I ended up doing a night in jail.
No way.
Yeah.
Did this make the news?
You know, yeah, the media doesn't report that. You know, it's because they didn't. I don't know if they really wanted people to know that I was in DC.
That's interesting. You spent a night in jail, and the news did not report on it. That's fucking very interesting.
Yeah, and of all things, because I was trying to serve Israel legal paperwork. What happened?
That's
I don't want to get too
bizarre.
Deep.
Yeah,
I don't want to get too deep into it because I have a misdemeanor charge in the DC District Court that I have to go back. And here's the thing: the fucking government picked my dead dad's birthday for the court date.
Yeah, it's fucked up. That's psychological warfare.
Dude, I'm telling you, bro. I'm telling you, they're fucking with your boy. I'm telling you.
Poking and prodding. But good thing
that you
can take it.
It's because I went to DC and I was trying to serve the IMF, the World Bank. I was trying to serve Donald Trump. I was trying to serve the DOJ, the state of Israel, and the Fed. Israel was the first person or the first entity I went up to try to serve. I put the paperwork through the gate as opposed to them.
God bless you, dude. I don't think you're the first American that tried to serve Israel, bro. That's fucking gangster status.
Dude, they got pissed. The fucking Secret Service came and arrested me. They said that it was an unlawful entry. They said it was an unlawful entry, and so they arrested me. They put me in jail. They put me in a DC jail that had cockroaches everywhere. And there was no mattress. It was just like a metal slab, two bunk beds that were like metal slabs, no mattress, no pillow, cockroaches everywhere, no food, they gave us a little bit of water. There was no real air conditioning. There was this big fan that was kind of circulating the energy, circulating the wind in the air, but like it was terrible. Absolutely awful. And then, no, that's not the end of it.
Yeah.
No, check this out. Then the motherfuckers towed my car. Okay. And they towed it literally an hour away from DC. They towed it to a place that only accepted cash. And then when I finally got my car after jumping through all these different hoops, the car has a flat fucking tire.
This sounds like my experience in New York earlier this year. Last year. God damn.
Cash only $60 Uber to get there to pick it up. So
fuck, man.
It was rough.
Hey, but you got back before the event and you were in your spot when we went live. That says a lot right there. So Jake, get the text. Let's get this thing going. Let's articulate all of it, and then let's even tell us a little more about this Washington D.C. story in another episode. But want to thank you for taking the time to come back on. We sure missed you, and we're glad to have you back on board, man.
Absolutely, dude.
So, really quickly, we've touched on some dark shit here. Give the people something positive to reflect on until the next time they see you right here on We Want Answers.
Sure. Because I've seen many different visions of the future, I can tell you that the trajectory that we are on is very bright and it's beautiful. It is abundant, it is peaceful, it is loving, it is kind. But it's going to take us going through hell to get there. It's going to take us all standing up against tyranny and saying, no, we're not going to do this to get there. And that can actually be a lot easier than people think if they would just stand up and remain uncomfortable for even just a couple of days, because of these visions of the future, I've seen what's coming. And I've seen that it can happen sooner rather than later. What it's really going to come down to is you as an individual. You as an individual making certain life changes. You vote with your time, you vote with your attention, you vote with your money. So you need to take back your power, and you need to start devoting your time, your attention, and your money toward systems and people or institutions that are trying to create the future that you want, not trying to, shall we say, cover up the present that you can't stand, right?
Good.
Final point is God is with you in everything that you do. And the more that you act that way, the more that you act like what you do matters, the more it will matter.
God bless
Agreed.
that, man.
I couldn't think of a better way. That's it. That's it. Keep that fight going. We're here. Jake's here, and we're going to be back for the American Shaman, the legendary man himself, Jake, Angeli-Chansley, and Dave and John. I'm Big Sean. We're Isaac's Army. We want answers, and we're going to be back. We'll see you all real soon.
Peace out. Have a great
Peace
night.
out, gentlemen.